All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening to all of you and welcome to the webinar. Without any further delay, let's start with the session. I'll just share my screen quickly with all of you. You can keep your pen and papers ready if you want to make any notes. So the topic for the today's webinar is true, false, and not given, and yes, no, and not given. Okay, so we'll be discussing both of these kind of questions for the reading section of IELTS exam. Let's see what all do we have to discuss today. To be discussed, identifying information, which is also known as true, false, and not given. Identifying a writer's views or claims, which is also known as yes, no, and not given. So these are the two kinds of questions basically, which we'll be going through. Then we'll see some differences and similarities between both of them, scoring tips and strategies, and practice questions and answers. And in the end, we'll be having a doubt clearing session. All right, so let's start with the first topic of the webinar, which is identifying information, true, false, and not given. So let's read about it. For true, false, and not given questions, you will be given a set of statements and a text. Your task is to decide which of the following applies to the information in each statement. First, it agrees with the information in text. That means the answer will be true. It disagrees with it or contradicts it. That means it is false. And if it is not mentioned in the text, then that means the answer will be not given. Let's read further about it. Tips. The answers appear in the same order in the text as the order of the statements. You don't need to read the whole text. First, you will scan for keywords and then you will read it in detail, the section in which they are located for the answer. So I hope till now all of you are aware of this word scan. So we discussed in the previous webinars what is the meaning of these two words, skim and scan. Okay, so these two words you'll encounter many times when you'll be practicing for the reading paper. Scanning basically means what? Scanning means looking for the information for the keywords and underlining them or highlighting them. Okay, so that it's easy for you to locate the answers later. Third tip, there will be at least one of each answer type, true, false, not given. So if you don't have at least one of each when you've completed the question, you've made a mistake. So this is a very big tip. So in case you have all the three, answers as true, false, and not given, at least each one of them once in your answer, that means you're going right. But if any one of these three is missing in your all the answers, then that means that there is some issue with your answers. Okay, so just relate to this tip very carefully. Fourth tip, watch out for distractors. That means important information, and unimportant should be ignored. Okay, be aware that the test setters love to use distractors to really test you. A prime example is qualifying words such as every, a few, all, always, some, often, most, occasionally. So these are few of the words which might be encountered by you in the exam. And if these kind of words are there in your paper, then you have to be double sure. Okay, you have to cross-check and notice if there is any kind of word like these. These single words can completely change the meaning of a sentence. Example, Titanian often meets up with her friends after work. Often is the keyword here. Next, Titanian occasionally meets up with her friends after work. So often and occasionally are both what? Contradictory words. Often means very frequently and occasionally means rarely. So hence you have to make sure that if there are any kind of words like these, every, few, all, and so on, then be doubly sure, okay, before writing your answer. In true, false, and not given questions, the meaning of the statement must be an exact match with the information in the text to be true. So the meaning in the sentence should collide with the meaning in the question. Okay, moving on to another tip. Fifth, also be on the lookout for qualifying words that express possibility or doubt, such as seem, claim, suggest, possibly, believe, and probably. So these are again few words which you should, doubly make sure that they are equal to the meaning in the question. Sixth tip, the statements won't be a word for word match to the information in the text. They will contain synonyms and paraphrasing. It's the meaning that you're trying to match. So always remember, whatever words and sentences you see in your question, those words won't be same, okay, in the passage or the text. So you have to look for paraphrasing or synonyms, that is similar meaning words. Seventh tip is, the test is not an assessment of your knowledge of the topic, but only of your ability to read and understand the specific information in the text. So if you happen to know from your knowledge that a particular statement is correct, that is true, but this is not stated in the text, then your answer must be not given. So please do not rely on your knowledge of the topic. This IELTS exam is not testing your knowledge. It's only testing how you connect your question to the answer. Okay, it's totally and purely based, especially these kind of questions, true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. Both of these kind of questions are purely based on facts, factual information. All right. Coming to the last and eighth tip, which is, remember that at least one answer will be not given. This means that you will be searching for information that is not there. All right. Now let's read about the strategy of this kind of question. How would you go about this question? First strategy is, read the instructions carefully. Double check whether it is a true, false, or not given, or a yes, no, or not given question. Second strategy, read the statements and try to understand the meaning of each. Do this before reading the text. Third strategy is, think about possible synonyms that might appear in the text and note any qualifying words in the statements, such as all, some, often, and always. This will make your brain alert for them when you scan the text. Okay, so just be aware of these words. Fourth strategy is, underline the keywords. You won't necessarily find the exact words in the text due to the extensive use of synonyms and paraphrasing in true, false, not given questions, but enough will be present to make doing this worthwhile. So again, look for the paraphrasing and synonyms. Next strategy is fifth one, reread the statement one and scan the first paragraph, maybe two or for the keywords or synonyms of them. Scanning will locate where the answer is, but detailed reading of the section of the text is now needed to decide if the specific information you're looking for is true, false, or not given. Make your decision. Remember to consider these three things. What are those three things? First is, to be true, the information must exactly match even if the words are different. So the information should match, okay, 100%. Next is, look carefully for qualifying words that might change the meaning. And third is, if you are struggling to find the answer, it's probably because it isn't there. That is, it's not given. So in case you're not able to find any information in the true, false, not given questions, then most probably the answer will be not given if you're not able to find any clue about the question. Okay, but again, I would advise you to cross-check and double-check before you write the answer as not given. All right. Seventh is, repeat this process for the remaining questions. So these strategies, these tips do not just apply for one kind of question, but for all the questions. Okay. All right. Now let's see what is the biggest challenge, the big challenge which the candidates find. The challenge with true, false, not given type question is that for some statements, the not given ones, you will be searching for information that's not there. This is the first reason why some people fear it. It's very easy to waste a huge amount of time going over and over the text to check that you haven't missed the information. The second challenge is the unfamiliarity of this type of question. Most people will have looked for true, false statements in a text back in their school days, but may have no experience of not given statements. Hence, it's extra important to have a strategy that gives you the confidence to make your decision and move swiftly on. So it's very important, guys, before you sit for your exam, to read these kind of questions and to go through them, to practice them. Okay, otherwise you will be left alone in your exam, thinking and wasting a lot of time on these questions. All right, moving on from strategies and big challenge to the sample question and answer. So here you can see that I have listed out 2 sample questions for you, okay? And the 2 answers for those 2 questions have been given here. So first we'll read the question. So this is how the true, false, not given questions look like. So something like this will be given to you in the exam as well. The instructions say, do the following statements agree with the information given in the reading passage? True, false, or not given? You already know the meaning of these, so I'm not wasting any time on that. Coming to the first question, Mackenzie King came from a privileged background. The answer for this first one is true. An explanation has been given here. Paragraph 2. So I'll show you where is the paragraph 2 here. Mackenzie King. Okay, so I have listed down these 1 and 2 paragraphs here, just for you to know that how do you have to locate the answer. So the explanation which I have given here is paragraph 2. Mackenzie King was born in 1874 with the proverbial silver spoon. So here you can see the keyword proverbial silver spoon collides with from a privileged background. So you can see here why the answer is true, because these 2 keywords match, a privileged background and proverbial silver spoon. So again, you can see the words are not same, but the meaning is same. Hence, I'm telling you to revise and to, enhance your vocabulary so that you can catch these kind of keywords. Okay. Otherwise, you'll waste time in finding this keyword here, which was not present in the passage. In passage, it is given proverbial silver spoon, which is same as this privileged background. All right, coming to the next question, he taught economics at Harvard University. So again, the statement says the answer is true, and explanation is again in this paragraph 2, this passage 2, which I'm showing you here. Let's read the explanation. He accumulated 5 university degrees, including a PhD from Harvard in economics, a subject he went on to teach at that institute. So you can see this italic has been bold, a subject he went on to teach at that institute. So he taught economics at Harvard University. So this means it is true. He has taught there, right? Again, the words are not same here, just like the passage, but the meaning is same. So this is how you have to locate the answer for true, false, and not given. All right, guys, now moving on to the other part, the other question for the day of the webinar, that is yes, no, and not given, which is also known as identifying writer's opinion. Let's read about it. For yes, no, not given questions, you will be given a set of statements and a text. Your task is to decide which of the following applies to the information in each statement. First, it agrees with the views of the writer. That means you'll write yes. If the statement disagrees with it or contradicts it, what the writer thinks, then you write no. It is impossible to know what the writer's point of view is, then you write not given. So again, just read the instructions very carefully. Whether in the question or in the answer, you have to write true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. Just be aware of that. Okay. All right, coming to the tips. Now, the first tip is the answers appear in the same order in the text as the order of the statements. Again, the answers will be followed, chronologically. That means in chronological order in the hierarchy. That means the first answer you might find in the first passage, then the second answer also you might find in the first passage. Then accordingly, the third answer will be in the second passage. So there will be no up and down in the answers. It will go gradually from first passage to the last one. Okay, this is what means for chronological order. Second tip is you don't need to read the bold text. First, you will scan for keywords and then you'll read in detail the section in which they are located to find the answer. There will be at least one of each answer type, that is yes, no, and not given. So if you don't have at least one of each when you've completed the question, that means you've made a mistake. Again, this is the same tip which we read in the true, false, not given. Fourth tip is watch out for distractors. Again, the same. Be aware that the test takers love to use distractors to really test you. A prime example is qualifying words such as, again, we know the qualifying words, so I'm not reading it again. These single words can completely change the meaning of a sentence. This also we know, right? Then example, Julio often goes to the gym after work. Often is the key word here. Julio occasionally goes to the gym after work. So occasionally again, these two words you can see are contradictory. So this means that the answer to this kind of question will be false. Okay, because often means frequently and occasionally means rarely, sometimes. In yes, no, not given questions, the meaning of the statement must be an exact match with the opinion of the writer for the answer to be yes. The same sentence we read in the true, false, not given question as well. So we understand it well now. Moving on to another tip, fifth one. Also be on the lookout for qualifying words that express possibility or doubt, such as seem, claim, suggest, possibly believe, probably. Sixth, the view or opinion of the writer may not be immediately clear from the text. You may have to determine this through what they say. Seventh, the statements will contain synonyms and paraphrasing, so be on the lookout for these. Paraphrasing and synonyms, very crucial. Eighth, remember that at least one answer will be not given. This means that you will be searching for information that is not there. Okay, so this was another tip. Next, we have the strategies in front of you for solving yes-no kind of questions. First strategy is read the instructions carefully, double check whether it is a yes, no, or not given, or a true, false, or not given question. Okay, so just make sure that you know what you're writing, because in case if you write true instead of yes, then the answer will be wrong. Okay, so just make sure you read the instructions very carefully. What do you have to write in the answer? Next strategy is read the statements and try to understand the meaning of each. Do this before reading the text. Think about possible synonyms that might appear in the text and note any qualifying words in the statements, such as all, some, often, always. This will make your brain alert for them when you scan the text. Fourth, underline the keywords. You won't necessarily find the exact words in the text due to the extensive use of synonyms. And paraphrasing in YNNG, that means yes, no, not given questions, but enough will be present to make doing this worthwhile. Again, so underlining and highlighting the keywords is very essential, guys. Moving on to another strategy, fifth one, reread the statement one and scan the paragraph first. Sorry, scan the first paragraph, maybe two, for the keywords or synonyms of them. Scanning will locate where the answer is, but detailed reading of the section of the text is now needed to determine the opinion of the writer in relation to the statement. Make your decision. Remember to consider these three things. What are these three things? Let's read. First is to be yes, the view of the writer must exactly match the statement, even if the words are different. Second, look carefully for qualifying words that might change the meaning. Third, if you're struggling to find the writer's opinion, it is probably because it isn't there. That means it is not given. Seventh strategy is to repeat this process for the remaining questions. All right. Let's see what is the big challenge which the candidates face. This is the first reason why people fear it. Okay, so let's read from here. The challenge with yes-no type of questions is that for some statements, the not given ones, you will be searching for information that's not there. So again, you might, tend to waste a lot of time. Please do not do that. If you do not find the answer to any question, just mark it as not given after double crossing or checking it. Okay. All right. You can easily waste a lot of time going over and over the text to check that you haven't missed the information. Second challenge is the unfamiliarity of this type of question. Most people will have looked for yes-no statements in texts back in their school days, but many have no experience of not given questions. Okay, so just practice well the not given questions. Hence, it's extra important to have a strategy that gives you the confidence to make your decision and move swiftly on. So having the strategy for these kind of questions is very, very essential. All right, now let's look at the sample question and answer for yes, no, not given questions. So the instructions will be given something like this. Do the following statements agree with the information given in the reading passage? And the reading passage is here. Okay, I have listed down 2 paragraphs out of which we'll be collecting the answers. Let's see what are the questions. So you have to write yes, no, and not given. You already know the meaning of these so far, so I'm not repeating it here. People do not like the idea of living without technology. This is the first question, and the answer to this question is yes. Let's see what is the explanation. So we have found this answer in paragraph 1, which is this paragraph. Okay, first paragraph. Let's see what is the explanation. Imagining a life without technology devices in the vicinity is an unpleasant thought for most people. So you can see the meaning of the sentence here and this one, first one, people do not like the idea of living without technology is same, right? The words are different, but the meaning is same. Hence, the answer is yes to this kind of question because the writer's view is matching with the sentence, with the question. All right, let's read the second question. Teenagers must prefer books over the internet for information. Now they have listed down this answer as not given. Why? Explanation, paragraph 2 mentions that nowadays teenagers prefer the internet over books for any information, but the writer's view regarding what must be the teenager's preference is not clear. So you can see here, this sentence is not given in this paragraph, paragraph 2. If we read it quickly, in detail, this kind of sentence is not present here. Hence, the answer is not given. They have talked about teenagers' preference for the internet over books or for any information, but the writer's view regarding this is not present. Hence, the answer is not given. Okay, so only after certain practice, you'll be able to understand how to write true, false, and not given in front of the question, and how to write yes, no, and not given. All right, guys, moving on to the difference between these 2 kind of questions. What is it? Let's see. So some students get confused between true, false, and not given questions and yes, no, not given questions. It's all about the type of information contained in the text. So there is only one, exact major difference in both of them. What is that? True, false, not given. The text will contain factual information about the topic. Okay. Every information will be factual based on facts. Whereas yes, no, not given questions, the text will contain the opinions, views, or beliefs of the writer or other people who are mentioned. Okay, so you can see here the underlying information, that is a major difference between true, false, not given and yes, no, not given. And the similarities we have already talked about in the tips and strategies as well, that how do you mark, when do you mark true, false, or not given, or when is the opinion of the writer yes, no, or not given, right? Okay, moving on to the last slide where I have written for you that if you have any doubt or any query related to IELTS, you may contact us and write to us on the comment section of our pages. Okay, and also for your information, guys, we also have a YouTube channel with the same name. Okay, so you can always contact us and get in touch with our counselors. They would love to help you. So here I stop sharing my screen and now I give you some time to ask me any queries related to the webinar for today. And if you have any doubt, any query, you can just put it here on the Q&A section. So I would love to answer all of your queries. Just let me know in the Q&A section one by one. Any question related to true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, or any doubt you have about, any of the IELTS reading sections. Although we'll be covering up more topics in the future webinars, but yes, you can just tell me your query here. If not, then if anyone does not have any question, they can leave for the day. And if yes, then you can put it here. Okay, so somebody is asking me, ma'am, how can we manage time Like in 1 hour, one complete only 2 passages. Only 2 passages. Okay. So I'm assuming that you're trying to say that in 1 hour, you're only able to complete 2 passages, right? So time management is a very crucial factor, Karan. Okay. And how you have to manage time is that start with 20 minutes, which is the actual time given to you, okay, for each passage. And then gradually start decreasing your time. That means 20 minutes for first passage, 20 minutes for second passage, and 20 minutes for third passage. And try to do it in, separate time sections. Do not try to do it in 1 hour. In that way, you will confuse yourself and you will never be able to finish the paper. Okay, this is not for the exam, obviously. For exam, you have to complete the reading paper whole as a whole in 1 hour. But yes, for practicing, for the early practice sessions of yours, then you can just time yourself for 20 minutes, okay, for each section, and then practice. And just gradually decrease the time, and you'll see that how you can manage time very well by doing this kind of practice. Okay, so I hope this tip will improve your time management for the reading paper. In listening, we do not have any option like that because the audio plays together continuously for half an hour. So in reading, you do have the boon for testing yourself how you can manage the time. I hope this tip will improve your time management. And I hope that answers your question. And also one more tip here to the person who asked this question about the time management. When you are, placing your time as 20 minutes for each section, try to decrease the time, as I said, and also try to finish when you're actually, about to finish your answers in 1 hour. That means if you're able to complete your whole reading paper in 1 hour, then see that you're taking maximum time in your last section of reading, because the last section is the most difficult and it is the trickiest. Okay. It's not that it cannot be solved with the practice. It can be, but yes, it is the most trickiest part or section of your reading. So keep more time for that. That means maybe 23 to 25 minutes, 2-3 minutes extra, and try to finish your first and second passage in around 15 to 17 minutes. So you save 2 to 3 minutes in each of the first 2 passages, right? So in that way, you can get more time in your last section of reading, which is the most trickiest. So I hope this tip will improve your time management. I'm waiting for your questions, guys. If no, then you can leave for the day. If yes, you could put it here. All right. So if you do not have any other question, I would like to conclude this webinar and end it here. Thank you so much, guys, for joining with us in this webinar. I'll see you in the next upcoming webinar on Friday, and we'll be discussing another kind of reading question there. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.